Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we are talking about the rise of expectations of men versus women. And I am giving you a personal update today as well. Today is actually the first day of filming in the last 5 weeks. For those of you that do not know, I did have my baby girl 5 weeks ago. So this is actually my first day back filming. I am feeling pretty good. Probably lacking some sleep, probably having some baggy eyes here. I don't know. I might be talking a little bit quieter so that I don't wake the baby. I have the bassinet there. The baby's not in the bassinet there. She's not in this room. But I will say that I've been just overwhelmed with all the congratulations and all the love from you guys and support. So thank you. We have really just enjoyed this time bonding with her, spending time with her, spending time with each other, and trying to get as much sleep as possible as well. For those of you that have experienced it, and even for those that have not, but you can imagine that having a baby within a relationship is one of the most quote unquote stressful times that there can be, because everything's on edge, nobody's getting sleep. But one of the biggest reasons why I think that it is one of the most stressful times, especially today's day and age, is that it really is a time that highlights our expectations of each other and of ourselves. And what I see in this day and age, unfortunately, is that we have a lot of expectations of our partner, but very little amounts for ourselves. And what has contributed to this is really what society tells us, and especially what is available on social media as far as the advice given. I see it all the time where women are giving other women advice, or they're telling them stories of what a good man will do, or what a man should be expected to do. Some of the most highly debated topics are expectations within a relationship, especially a marriage. Even the expectations when dating, which I've talked about. And men know that when you're at the dating stage, there's going to be a lopsided balance of expectations. Most men they know it is what it is, right? That you're the one that has to put in the effort. You're the one that has to pursue. You're the one that's paying. You're the one that's spending more time planning things. You are the one that is expected to do a whole lot more than what she's expected to do. But in hopes that when you get into a relationship, things should really even out, right? You should both have these things that you do for each other. I always say that expectations are unhealthy, that, you should just expect more of yourself and let the other person do what they naturally do. Now, you can have things that are complete deal breakers, that would prevent you from even wanting to be with that person in the first place, but you can't be with somebody in a relationship and expect them to change their behavior, or expect them to do XYZ that they never did before, but now they're married to you, so now you expect it. But if we're being real, we know that most people go into relationships with some amount of these expectations. And what I have seen is that there is a clear difference between the expectations of men versus women in general, especially when advice is given on social media. You can really see those differences. But what's really interesting to me is that even though these expectations are so high for men during the dating stages, that this is not what happens then in the relationship stage. That there's the more of this expectation from women to go into this full 50-50, everything's equal, everything's nice and even though, the man spent this period of time doing a whole lot more than her. Where this falls apart is that many times in the relationship stage, and in the advice that we hear off of any kind of social media platform, is that women want things split up 50-50 that are traditionally a female gender role, but they are not advocating for a 50-50 split for things that are traditionally a male gender role. So you hear oftentimes women wanting to split the indoor chores, but you never really hear the advice that they need to be splitting the yard work with their man. I have literally never heard it. If any of you have ever heard a woman giving that advice that to other women that they need to split the yard work with their man, please send it my way. I will say sorry that I'm wrong. I personally have seen this come up in my relationship, even post baby, and that's because my man is a solid good man and he wants to split things 50-50, right? Like it's like he's very much aware of what is expected of him within a relationship. Just not even just from me. I'm talking about pressures of the outside world, and I think what we all kind of intake when we are getting this advice. I believe that there's a certain amount of things that only women can do and there's certain things that men can do and that they are better at. I know that this is a highly testy subject because there are plenty of women that we've heard online that say, absolutely not, we don't need men. We can do anything that a man can do. I No, I don't think that that's facts. I think that that's a nice thought, but it's not facts, and it's not necessarily something that we should strive towards because I think that it's okay to have these differences. Differences do not need to be divisive at all. If anything, these differences just give us different strengths. Now, with that being said, my man is the example of the good that can come from some of this messaging. So, for example, after having baby, he did not leave the hospital. He was at my side at all times. He's staying home from work on paternity leave. Like, no one in prior generations had that sort of thing for 3 months. Definitely not. Like, my dad had, I think, 2 days off from work after having babies. But now we're seeing and we're hearing and we're getting the messaging that the bonding between a father and a daughter or son is really important, just as important as a woman's. And lastly, he's allowed me time and space to try to get sleep as much as possible. Now, let's get into the negatives. If we keep rolling on that path of wanting everything to be 50-50, it's sometimes going to butt up against something in which it is impossible to make 50-50, okay? And my example here is when you are breastfeeding a baby. So these are biological reasons why a woman is going to take on a bit more in that certain aspect of, caring for the baby early on. And I think that's very natural. I don't think that there's too many women out there that are looking at that and saying, oh, this is me doing more. Like, oh, we're not being 50-50. I'm mad. But there's some. There's unfortunately some women that are hearing the messaging from social media and all that and believing that everything should be 50-50. And that's just an impossible task to put on a man post baby. And this is just an example. So what happens is there's resentment that builds, and women are really good at building up resentment. The solution to that is understanding that not everything can be 50-50, and there should be more expectations that she is putting on herself to do certain things.